Hello, Etienne Charland.
Hi, Hock.
Hi. So, let me introduce. Hello, light workers, light warriors, old fools, and way showers. Welcome to another episode of Consciousness Shift. I'm your host, Hock Yeoh, also known as Etienne, and I'm an energy healer. Today, I have with me a very good friend of mine. His name is Etienne Charland, and I will ask him to introduce himself a little bit before we go into the show. Etienne, comment allez-vous?
Très bien, et vous?
Oh, très bien. So, can you
So,
tell us something about yourself?
all right. So, which part of myself?
A
well,
short intro.
that's. I mean, there's a lot of, let's say, different phases of life could talk about. If we talk about, like, sometimes people ask me, how did I get to where I am now? Or how was the awakening journey? Or where does the soul actually, what's more the history of the soul? Then it's like a completely different story. But just to keep it short, so I'm Etienne Charland. I've been doing energy healing, teaching royal alchemy to really get people to open up, like to heal themselves, open up their own healing and psychic abilities, and really empowering people from within. So helping people recovering their special abilities, their memories from past lives, and then really stepping into what they're here to do on this planet. So I've been doing that for over 10 years. But I mean, not that. I've been doing healing for over 10 years, but it's been really a gradual opening process that just keeps evolving, and I'm still in the middle of that opening up phase. I mean, it just, once the momentum is there, the momentum doesn't stop once you win. Like things just keep going with that same momentum.
Yeah. So now,
And
Etienne, let's start by asking you what method do you use to test the authenticity and accuracy of something?
well, wait, we'll get to that a little bit later.
Okay,
Let's. Well, first, also I want to mention that I'm the author of the book, The History of the Universe. Have you seen that book?
I have one.
I want. Now it's appearing blurred, but yeah. And how was the book for you?
Oh, fantastic. I think I have to read it many times, and I'm going to make a revision and read it again.
Hmm. And that really talks a lot about. I mean, it will touch more about things we're going to do in the second interview. We're going to dig deeper. But I have to say that the information in the book is very, very, let's say, far out of what people are used to here, or where the spiritual and disclosure communities are at. So it's like a whole, like a very, very, very different narrative from that. But from the book, a lot of people, it really helped them understand the greater picture and where they fit in all that, and like really opening up their memories from there by understanding the more of the context. And but we'll go more into that in the second book. But what you just asked, how to know the accuracy, because that's one challenge. If a book is really too far from what people are used to here, um, it's hard to like, is it true? Is it not? There's so much misinformation everywhere on the internet. I mean, the internet is flooded with either partial misinformation or with blatant disinformation.
Exactly.
Sometimes it's done like unconsciously. It's like you have some part of information but don't know exactly what's true, especially with anything that is like with aliens, secret space program, anything that is outside of the mainstream. It's very hard to get accurate information. And how do you know what is actually true and what is partially true? And so it's an issue with the book, but it's also a big issue with the community as a whole.
I see.
about discernment.
So, how do you go about testing the accuracy of information?
And that okay, so that's something I started doing. Also, in like every time I'm writing an article, at the end of it, I do an accuracy check. Let's say this article is 92% accurate, 98.9% accurate, 99.2% accurate. You can use muscle testing
Uh huh.
to not to measure is it true or not, because the truth is it's very 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 rare you will get 100% or 0% accurate.
Okay.
99.9% of the time it should be somewhere in between. So it's a lot more useful that you can measure in the same way people would use kinesiology to measure levels of consciousness on the Hawking scale. You can measure level of accuracy. Is it 22% accurate, 50% accurate, 80% accurate, 95% accurate? I personally try to stick to information that is 80% and above. But in all of the disclosure information, there's still very, very little that is over 80% accurate. So it really limits what the information I'm actually looking at. But then pass me a video, muscle test it, I get 76% accurate. So then I can look at it and know how to fit that in perspective. So I always, and that's the thing, I always muscle test before reading it.
Oh.
It's always, people will think, no, like it's like you're making a judgment without even knowing what it is about. You don't want to know the content. Because if you use muscle testing, it's basically, if you look at something that is true, you feel stronger. If you hear something that is false, you feel weaker. That's a very, very simple principle. If I'm talking a simple truth that really resonates with your soul, you know it is true. You'll feel more alive. You'll feel stronger, and there's a connection to truth. Like the truth speaks for itself. If it's kind of fuzzy, there's some part of truth in it, but not quite there. It's like you'll see, oh, that's kind of interesting, but it kind of feels fuzzy inside, and it's like you feel that there's something to it, but it's like it doesn't click. Like you know that feeling?
Yes.
And there's other information that you're listening to. It sounds really great, but something feels really off about it. But it sounds good.
You know, you gave me a very, very good tip, because I get a lot of articles, and with muscle testing for accuracy, it will really sieve away those articles that's just a pure waste of my time. I think it's a wonderful and brilliant idea, Etienne.
Absolutely. That's a pure waste of your time. That's the best case scenario. Worst case, what's more likely to happen is that information is going to clutter your mind or really get you off track and sidetracked into like all kind of nonsense that's just distraction.
Yeah.
But also something to be careful about is the deep state sometimes will feed you real information
Oh,
as a distraction.
really?
Yes. So, or manipulate. Very often, they will use truth to manipulate people into certain ways of thinking.
Wow.
So that's something else to pay attention to.
It's getting a bit complicated.
But that if you start paying attention to it, it's happening all around them.
Yeah.
It's like there's a movement that's gaining momentum somewhere. Like any movement that gains momentum, they will infiltrate the communities, start putting all kind of information, but they will generally put either partial misinformation or genuine information that will alter people's way of thinking or shift their focus or shift the narrative in their mind to reorient those movements. It's like instead of you might want to think about like what is your higher purpose in life and the greatest contribution can make on the planet. And then they bring in different questions, like a big debate about it's like what we should do with recycling, how to solve the problem with plastic and all of that. And it might be really great information. It might expose some really real problem going on, but it's being fed to you at that specific moment to distract you from your own unique path.
Wow. Wow.
One really good advice that my alchemy teacher gave me is choose your battles.
Wow.
We all have different battles to fight, but if you get in all of them, you're just going to waste your energy everywhere. You're not going to get anywhere. So choose your battle and stand into it.
That's great advice. Choose your battles, choose your friends.
So there's a lot of problems in the world, like women's rights, pollution, all of that. These are not my battles. I'm focusing on ascension and on preparing the light workers to stand on the planet, because there's a lot of chaos that's really unfolding. It's transitional chaos. I've been warning about that for many years, and that chaos will keep amplifying and expanding until 1% of the population starts taking responsibility for creating a better world. And for that to happen, 1% of that 1% need to act as strong pillar of light that will guide all of the other 1%. And that is my focus.
Wow. So you mentioned about the SSP, which is the Secret Space Program.
Well, with muscle testing, I don't know if the people are familiar with muscle testing kinesiology, but basically, you find like there are different ways to do it. The way I do it, I put the thumb and the middle finger together, make two rings, put them in each other, and just find the right finger pressure, so that if you say yes, your fingers stay together. If you say no, your fingers fall apart. Or if you say something that is true, they stand together. If you say something that is false, my name is Etienne. My name is Pinyin. You find the right pressure, so that if you say something that is true, it holds. If not, it falls apart. And then you look at the accuracy. Let's take the interview you just did with Marco, for example. A really great interview. Is it at least 10% accurate? 20% accurate, 30% accurate, 40, 50%, 60%, 70%, 80%, 90%, 91%, 92%, 93%. 92.12345. I'm getting 92.46% accurate on that interview.
Oh.
But it's not 100%, but with that kind of information, it's really hard to have 95% and above. But I'm always challenging people to really set a very high level of standard in terms of the accuracy of information. For me, my standard, like what I bring out, I try to always keep it 90% or above, or 95% or above, but like 90% the minimum. That's my standard, and I always encourage people to raise their bar in terms of that. And now I have the way to validate it. But then when I talk about muscle testing, people always ask, well, is it really accurate? Some people have a hard time to do it. Is there distortion? And yes, there can be distortion. Your own baggage, your own like energetic noise in your system can cause distortion for all kind of reasons. If you have preconceived ideas about something, some value conflict or something. But what I do, so yes, there is distortion, and yes, you can detect it. So after you measure, test, is the answer accurate? Yes or no? I get a clear yes. And is there any distortion, internal or external? You must get a clear no. But if you get a clear yes and a clear no, you can trust the answer.
I see. Wow.
If not, then there's some distortion somewhere. And some people are not quite able to do it. So was a solution for that. I created a group on Facebook, the P2P kinesiology readings. And there's a lot of, you're in that group. There's a lot of people who know how to do kinesiology, and you can post questions like asking to measure something, and then everybody is going to measure it, and then you can see everybody's result. And if everybody get the same result, like you have this article and everybody get 45%, then yeah, that's BS. And if everybody gets the same result, then yeah, have to really take that into consideration. If people get different readings, then that is quite interesting, because that means it's a multifaceted question, and everybody is looking at it from different angles.
Different angles. Right.
So then asking deeper questions can get very interesting in that case. And generally, the answers are accurate. Where the distortion is in the question, in what the mind is focusing on. So depending on your ideas about something, you will focus on slightly different set of energies. It's like you make the selection, then you measure, but the selection, depending on the people, might be a bit different. So generally, the distortion is in the question, but the answer is accurate.
All right.
And one more thing I want to mention, is it possible to fake the results? And I've seen one person, maybe two, like really one person who had the ability to distort your measurements. So he could make you get whatever muscle testing results that he wanted.
Wow.
Yeah, like the people in the deep state, those a lot of social engineering agents, many of them are actually very known in the communities. Like they always take like a positions of authority. And some of them are very skilled. So he could fake your results. However, if you test, is there any distortion, internal or external, there he would get busted if you take the time to measure that. So you would detect the distortions still.
Oh, I see. Fantastic.
Asking these three questions really solve the problem of what is accurate or not.
What about those who use a pendulum, Etienne?
Oh yeah, that's another technique. That's another technique using a pendulum. I'm not really using the pendulum myself, but there are some people who do. So you can try different methods. You can do muscle testing, you can do the pendulum. And there's, like, if you go on the Facebook group, read the description, then there's a link to a page that explains different methods of doing the energy reading. So you can read the page for for more detailed instruction that explains about the pendulum, but won't cover pendulum because like I'm not doing it myself.
See. Very interesting, and you have actually clarified a lot of questions in my mind with regards to muzzle testing, the uses, and why we should use it. I think it's fantastic. Thank you very much.
And many people told me, like for me, it's like I'm doing that all the time. It's like it's very basic for me. But a lot of people, they told me that's a game changer, and it is a game changer. That is the one skill everybody should. It's not that hard. That is the one skill everybody should start practicing. And if you're not able to do it, or you don't trust your results yet, join the P2P kinesiology readings group on Facebook, and then like work with others, and soon enough you'll get there. There's more and more people who are able to do it. So it's not just me doing a reading, oh, this is accurate, this is not. No, it's like when you get 10, 20 people doing the reading and they get the same results, like then we're getting somewhere.
Right.
And also something that food. Measure. Like 80% of the food in the supermarket is completely toxic for you. Start measuring what percentage is that good for my body.
Fantastic. Wow. There's so many uses that we should start practicing our muzzle testing techniques.
And Chinese herbs. There's a bunch of herbs. It's all written in Chinese. They don't speak any English. So what are these herbs for? So what percentage is this herb good for me? What percentage do I need it?
Wow. Fantastic. You
I can
know,
make some teas with the herbs I
yeah,
actually
I
need.
got to start doing this. So, is there anything of a related topics for tonight's conversation, Etienne?
I think we're good on muscle testing. And now we're going to do a series of interviews. So, giving people the means to actually validate information, I think that really sets the critical, like the critical skill set to be able to digest the information that I'm presenting. Because also, you're not able to, like the people watching this, they're not able to fully accept the information, especially if it's very different from what they're used to here, unless they have some way of knowing whether it's true or not.
Yeah, it's better than trying to Google and
You're everything I'm going to talk about. You're not going to find anything on Google. Don't even think about it.
wow, fantastic. So, today is actually the 11th of November and also the Loy Krathong Festival.
Oh yes, I'm in Thailand, and yeah, the Katong Festival. So we've got a lot of UFOs flying in the sky, and some people, like some naysayers, saying, "Oh, these are just flying lanterns."
I know exactly what you mean. So, and yeah, we're going to have Etienne and me. We're going to have another few sessions. We'll take topic by topic, which is of interest, and not only of interest, but I feel Etienne is going to talk about things of importance. So, well, um, actually, this interview is very impromptu, and we're going to present it raw.
Mhm. Yeah, and next thing, yeah. So then wanted to talk about the disclosure movement.
Yeah.
Oh, and also, yeah. Now we're just kind of like setting up the ground. We're not really getting into the real juicy stuff yet. But if like the people watching this, if you have any questions or things you would like to hear from, if you have questions, can post them in the comments below.
Yeah.
Then we'll consider that for future interviews.
And in fact, I'm going to put down below the links that Etienne maintains, and also feel free, as Etienne said, to ask questions, and we will address them in the future coming episodes. But ladies and gentlemen, I must tell you, it is not easy to get Etienne. He's either busy with this or busy with that. And I tell you, I am so happy to have.
Busy with intergalactic astral warfare, and with exopolitics, managing like negotiations between different federations and all of that, and
Wow. Tell me something, Etienne. How do you find time to do all this stuff and at the same time take a bath, eat your food, go sightseeing, and enjoying yourself?
uh, I mean, I'm dealing with these energies all the time, like 24/7. Like it's like most of the stuff I'm doing is on a energetic level, communicating with different beings, like really like opening up the energetic space. But the energetic pressures for past many years been just crazy. And but like I just go off to like yeah, like every now and then I'll take a day off, going up in the mountains, like here in Thailand. Like I'll take a day, go to the hot springs up in the mountain, and then like actually the traveling is a great way to shift the energy, and going especially in the mountain, like it discharges a lot of the energetic pressure into the mountain.
Yeah.
So I'm actually doing that for work.
Fantastic. Well,
And just yesterday went up on the mountain again. I had some friend visiting. Went up on the mountain after in Chiang Mai in Thailand. Went up Doi Satep, and then like all the way up in that mountain. And yeah, I like driving around the mountain, and it really helps to. It's like traveling is a great way to shift the energies and to kind of like unroot all of that stuff. So channeling physical location really helps energetically. And like going in a place like nature, mountain, place like that, especially in a place like Thailand where the energy is a lot higher, that it's like that, it also helps a lot. So I really should do that more often.
And therefore, I'll find it more difficult to catch you online.
So um, yeah, so you how long have you been following all of that stuff? Like there's like the whole disclosure things and like all the spiritual awakening, disclosure, and secret space program and all of that. For how long you've been following all of that?
Well, I think the moments uh, Corey Good came up with all his stories about the SSP in the initial stages, and I actually my awakening started in 2012, Etienne.
Uh-huh.
That's significant time. My whole mind shifted from being totally scientific
Hmm.
to the esoterics. It was a fantastic shift of my attention to the esoterics.
Okay. So it started with Corey Good, and actually that's a great time to bring this up because if you look at what happened in the disclosure community when Corey Good came out. So before Corey Good, what was the disclosure movement about? Like people would talk about UFOs.
Mhm.
It's like, oh, like there's this UFO, there's that UFO, there Area 51. It's like about it's not like about UFOs and speculations, and it's like very vague information, but like without like that was the conversations that were going on, and then that was pretty much it. It's like the best thing would be like, oh, like we've got some pictures of UFOs, and then you'll analyze, is it a real picture or a fake one, and that's disclosure. Now Curry Good came out and started talking about the secret space program and human activity that's been going on in space since the 50s, and the Dracos and the Dracos under in Antarctica and other places, and the avians coming here to help us and talking about these things, and that completely entirely shifted the narrative in the whole community.
Wow.
Now talking about a lot more concrete information, and then a lot of people started realizing that they have been abducted into those secret space programs. They get taken out, they get abducted, get taken into those programs, and then time traveled back to the point where they were taken. So it's like it's like as if it didn't happen. Then the memories are wiped out, so it's as if it didn't happen, except that it feels like there's been like either like 20 years or 40 years. That's
Ooh.
kind of, it's like you're kind of like way too mature for your age, and there's like these weird traumas that you have and weird vague memories, and can't quite put the pieces together. But then when Corey Good came out with that little lot, like I don't know how many, like me, I must have, how many people, I'd say at least 100,000 people would like recognize themselves in that.
Wow.
That's been abducted in that way.
That's
Could be more. Yeah, I don't have the exact number. And some of these things are hard to muscle test because there's so much veils around those topics where there's a high level of secrecy. It's covered with layers of veils and veils and veils and veils, with people who have a lot of energetic skills to be able to hide things. So these things are a little bit harder to measure with muscle testing. But at least 100. So a lot of people have gone through that, and then people start remembering things and talking about their experiences and talking about the SSP and those space activities and all the suppressed technologies and all of that, and then they want to have access to technologies that have been hidden from us. But what I want to say is We don't need those old Draco, like those old technologies from the Dracos. We don't need that. We don't need them to hand us their technologies. We can create brand new 5D technologies. We don't need their 4D technologies. That's old stuff.
Oh, I see.
How many, like, it's like what happens in those disclosure events? Like all these people go into those big rooms and conferences, listen to the speakers, talk about the SSP, about those paranormal activities and all of that, and how they've been screwed up by the deep state and all of that, and people are like they're in that victim mindset that all of that is happening to them, and they're getting being stolen their money from the deep state, and really in the victim mentality, and then they're praying for these aliens to come and save them. That's literally what's happening. But you know the truth. Those aliens that they're praying at, some of them are helping from out there, but to do the real work, you need to come there on the ground. They sent all of their best troops and light warriors to incarnate on this planet.
Wow.
They are the answer to the calls. And then those ground troops, they're sitting on those chairs, they forgot who they are. Oh, come please help us, come please help. That's why they sent you here.
You got to remember who they are.
And there are many different groups who came here. I mean, some of those groups been here for longer, like those who were in the ancient civilizations, some Orions, some Lemurians, and other those were in the ancient civilization. Many have been here for longer, and some are coming here specifically to help with the ascension process, like the Arcturians, many Andromedians, and others. They're came here, like, have very few incarnations on Earth. They came here specifically for this.
Wow.
But they need to remember why they volunteered to come here.
Yeah, fantastic.
People have no clue what kind of power they have within their soul.
Oh, yeah, I agree with you, definitely. Actually, many people have been brainwashed to give their powers away.
Yeah. And doing group meditations, it does help. It definitely helps to do ground meditations, but not in the way people think. Like, when I do the healing, it's like there's 100,000 people getting together to do healing work. I don't mix into those groups. I do the work on my own, but on my own, I'll have more impact than the 100,000 people combined. Mm-hmm. However, where it's really helping to do group meditation, now the dark forces are already unrooted. The energies are shifting. What's happening is everybody's pulling to a different direction, and it's causing a lot of chaos. What I talk about a lot about the false light matrix, and maybe that would be like conversation for later. But the false light matrix is basically people have a certain idea about the light, but it's not genuine light, so they're just like pulling in different directions and just causing massive chaos. And the majority of light workers are actively fighting against the genuine light. But when 100,000 light workers get together and meditate together for the ascension of the planet, then they're creating a space where their intentions are in harmony to receive that light.
Oh, right.
So I would say it's more in that way that it's really making a big difference.
See. Wow.
So really, and that's where there really needs to be more harmonization. And a lot of the work I'm doing lately, it's really communicating in the different planes, synchronizing the efforts and the intents between the two different groups, communicating with the different groups psychically on the various planes. Some of them are metaphysical beings, very high dimensional beings, like the Federation of Light. Some are have sometimes they incarnate, sometimes they're in inner spirit form. Some are aliens with psychic abilities. Some are here on the ground with awaken abilities. Some are here on the ground that they still need to awaken. So my focus is on synchronizing the work between all of those different levels.
Fantastic. It is a huge, huge responsibility. It's a huge work.
That's fun.
And then take a walk in the jungle.
Yeah. When take a walk in the jungle, you actually can communicate better.
Yeah, yeah. So, Etienne, I think, shall we sign off? And anything else?
Can we go longer? It's still like some of the most important stuff we haven't covered yet.
Okay, you can carry on.
Yeah, I think I mean, are your viewers okay with that if we go on? Like, yeah, maybe we'll go on for under 20
Yeah,
minutes.
sure. No
Yeah,
problem. Yeah.
I think should be okay with that, or otherwise, like they can pause it now and then take that as the second part to watch after a break. So yeah, now I want to get into like the really good stuff. So, you know what's interesting? Like I know a lot about what's going on. It's like what's going on the planet as it's unfolding because I'm involved in those operations on a daily basis. But what's interesting is whenever I reach out to anyone in the disclosure community for like, and actually it doesn't matter, like I tried approaching them in different ways, so I never get any response whatsoever. The disclosure community right now is not ready for the kind of information that I'm presenting because they're too much in a victim mindset and they're not what I bring. And just the energy that I'm bringing, it requires of you to acknowledge your own power and your own responsibility in what's happening. Instead of just gathering information, collecting information, and considering that you're doing your part. The disclosure community is not ready for that yet. And if there's one thing I'd like people to get from this interview is to shift the fundamental paradigm of the disclosure community. Just like when Kurgood came out, it completely shifted the narrative. But for my message to reach that environment, there needs to be an equally big transformation in the paradigm. And that's a big thing.
Yeah.
And it's not gonna happen with just one interview, but to bring this out there. I mean, it's like to bring this out there. It's really going to like to have an impact. And it's like it's just coming to my mind. If you take actions out of, it's like you have a project, and it's like your ego wants to build something. Like you need to complete the project all the way to the end in order to reach the rewards and for it to last. Like if you stop 1 feet from gold, like or you stop before completing the project, it's gonna die out and not gonna be heard ever again. Correct?
Yep, that's right.
If you take action in service of God, you know there's something you need to do. Every small action is cumulative. So I do an interview with you. You need to do some talk with some other people, and someone else is going to do something else, and it's like the language is going to evolve. Like all of these are all individual actions taken by various people. Each one of those small actions are cumulative and permanent, and they will compound on each other.
Wow. Right.
When you act in service to God by doing what you believe is right. So don't underestimate all the small actions or even your power. Every action done in service to God is cumulative and permanent, and it really does make a serious impact.
Well, this is a fantastic statement, and I think we all should take note of this and what Etienne has been trying to convey the message. It's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. Then the other thing about the disclosure movement is they will, like right now they talk about the Dracos, the Avians, and as like mostly like the human activities in space of the Nazis and everything that resolves around that. But basically, think about it. All of the information we have, like like Corey Good, first of all, level of accuracy on his information, I'm getting 92.5% on the Cosmic Disclosure TV series on Gaia TV. That's very, very, very good. Now they left Gaia. Gaia got hijacked by the
Yeah.
Cabal,
Yeah.
put new people to continue the series. Now I got about 12.5% accuracy. Now the Cabal's in control.
Whew.
But I think it's a good time to move on from that paradigm. It's really done its job. Now it's time to move on from that paradigm. But think about this. The information Curry Good brought is very accurate. However, all of the information that he got is information that was handing out to him by those SSP groups.
Oh, I see.
So all of the information he has is limited to that tablet and the database of, and like if the sources of information might be very accurate, but it's I mean, even if it's done with all of the best intents, which I'm sure it is, it's limited to what they know. In the greater picture, they know very, very little. I mean, everybody thinks they know everything until you start knowing real stuff. Then you realize you don't know shit.
So that is why, Etienne, we have started this conversation, and there will be future episodes, and you can take off and deliver whatever that is necessary.
Yeah, well, we're going to go into really interesting stuff in the next interviews. But so the secret space program, they get, well, some of them they gave information to Corrigood. Corrigood is giving off that information. But lately things are evolving so fast. All the information he got back then is already, I mean, it's true, but it's outdated information already. Things are evolving so fast right now. And what's really happening in the greater picture? There's a lot of different groups that are involved on Earth. And the situation is evolving very quickly. So we can't just rely on that old database from back when he was in the SSP and the information that they are aware of. Because these people, they know stuff, but they really understand very little of the greater picture. So even like, you need to look past that database and really ask yourself, what else is going on in the universe? And where does our soul come from? Why are we here? And once we understand where our soul comes from, where we've incarnated before, then other interesting questions to ask is, how is life on those other planets that you've lived in past lives? You have a lot of life experience, you experience different systems, and you, like, there's a very, very large body of knowledge and experiences that it's like nothing can, like, can get all the education in the world, nothing beats real life experience. And you've got a tremendous amount of experience if you're a light worker who's lived on much, much more spiritually and technologically advanced planets. A lot of people come here with a lot of knowledge about technologies, like you talk about anti-gravity, free energy devices and all of that, crystal technologies. It's like all the knowledge is right there. It's just need to open up that box and just put it into application. So really need to look past the SSP. All of that is really great, but we don't want to get locked in all of that 4D stuff. And yeah, that you need to resolve that and kind of like reintegrate the SSP with the rest of the population first, before we can disclose like stuff about aliens and all of that. So the disclosure, the official disclosure of aliens, not going to happen before the official disclosure of the SSP, which looks like it's going to happen through the Space Force that Trump is setting up. But like there's a process there. But for us light workers, really need to look at beyond the SSP at what else is going on. And one objection that a lot of people have is like it's like they have a lot of let's see. They're very cautious about channeling because, quite frankly, most channeling has a very, very high amount of distortion. Then who's feeding you the information? And the deep state has the voice of God technology, so they're able to feed voice into your head. What I'm talking about here is not, what I'm doing is not channeling. It's communication. It's like bilateral communication. It's like when I communicate with these other beings telepathically, I'm not channeling from them. I'm talking to them just like if I call you. But it's like, is the source pure or not? Well, I talk with you. Are you a pure source or not? It's like we always need to have discernment who we're speaking with. If you talk to someone else on the spaceship or on their planet or some of these other beings, it's really different than if you're taking the phone and talking a master you've never spoken before, or sending some email with someone who supposedly has a lot of knowledge, but you don't really know who that person is. Always need to have that discernment. It's not really different than that in terms of communication. And then it's not you'll get a lot better information by talking with, like there are some people who are like super psychics, and the term was more known in China, like people like they just see everything, know everything. Talk to them like they'll know all that will happen in their life. But there are some people who are super psychic, so they're able to see everything that's happening, can do remote viewing and see all what's going on. And for me, I'm especially strong. Like I see things energetically, all the emotions, I'll see them very clearly. Visually, it's like I don't see visually all that clear yet. That will come afterward. But in terms of seeing all the energies and the emotions, that I'm doing that all the time. So talking with super psychics who are involved in the operations on a daily basis, like I'm doing that on a daily basis. Marco, you did an interview with, is involved with that on a daily basis. Kenneth, you're going to release an interview with him. Like people like us, we're involved in those operations. So it's like, oh, we're being told this. No, we are directly involved in those operations. Kenneth is like, I'm very good at destroying stuff psychically. Kenneth is the only person who can destroy stuff faster than me. Like big psychic hammer, it's just like blow things into pieces. Doesn't matter if it's Dracos or whatever. Like it is very effective. But that's real. Like those doing the hard work on the astral levels. It's not like the typical light worker. So talk with super psychics who are involved in those operations, and then use muscle testing. You can know exactly what is accurate or not, and there's always a level of distortion or inaccuracy, and then you can detect it and see exactly where the inaccuracy is. And then you can fine-tune things that way. Then you know exactly what's going on a daily basis. Well, like as things are unfolding. So that's actually a really big shift for the disclosure community, and my hope is that it is going to evolve to that stage. They'll say they will trust a lot more people who have very vague memories of the ESSP, memories that have been altered many times, than people who are directly involved in these things, and also who have also memories of other planets, the way things are done in other places, and have a lot of experience and knowledge. And what's the difference between me, who has experience of like all of the ancient wars that's been going on in the universe and what's going on in the different federations and all of that, versus like someone Kurigudo or someone else in the who's been the SSP who has some memory about what's been happening there. Like we're both talking from our memories, and by talking with different people, it's just like a little bit different, but it's not really that different. But it does change the narrative drastically. Yeah. So now that the deep state is trying to gain control of the disclosure narrative of the secret space program, let's just move on from there. Let's move on to the next level. They're not going to control at that next level.
Yeah, let's not get stuck, you know. We need to expand our consciousness, and we need to look beyond.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, there's different stages of, like different stages. Yeah, it's time to move on to the next stage. And I do have faith that this shift is going to happen in the community within 1 to 2 years.
Wow, that's good news. Really good news. I thought it was.
I mean, like we're bringing out the information. It's just a matter of, are people ready to listen to this? Are they going to share this information? And where it goes from there. But as people start to wake up more about their own responsibility and all that, and kind of just shifting the way to look at it, I think that the like once you open up a box of truth, you cannot close it back down. It's going to take a life of its own and keep expanding. So these are seeds that we're planting right now. And it's the very first time that I'm really talking about this. And so you're getting really the exclusivity for the third evolution of the disclosure movement.
Thank you very much, Etienne Charland. Talking about a box, do you want me to tell you something?
But yeah. Oh, yeah, sure.
I had a dream, and it was you. That was just about 2 days ago. And you said you're going to give me a box. I took a look at the box. It was small. It can rest on my palm with intricate designs, very intricate. Yeah. You say you're going to give me the box. And today, you mentioned the box. Too much.
And since a lot of people, they tell me that they've seen me in the dream. And actually, and one time, one person emailed me. She had me in a dream. And in the dream, like I told her to look out for Etienne on the internet. So she wrote down my name on Facebook, and then I was the first one who popped up, and that's how she found me.
Wow.
But I'm not necessarily like sometimes I will be consciously aware of the dreams, but generally I will not be consciously aware of the dreams. Like the higher self is like doing all kind of other things. And even like there's many different incarnations of myself, and like there's like the soul let's just say the soul is multitasking a lot. I'm doing my part in that.
Yeah, I really, really learned a lot tonight.
And I hope your viewers will learn a lot tonight. And if you really learned a lot from tonight, I also encourage you to share this interview with your friend and see what they think about all this.
Yeah.
And especially in the next one, we're really going to get into the interesting stuff. We'll go like the history of the universe. I talked about all that's been going on and the war that's been intensifying and all of that. But things have been quite evolving since that. So I'll give some of the latest updates of where are we at in all of that.
Really look forward.
Check out the.
Yeah, I really look forward to our next conversation, Etienne. So
and let's do an accuracy check on this interview. And it wasn't really anything like really far out, so it's a lot easier to get like very, very high accuracy. I'm getting 99.71% accuracy on this, which is pretty good.
Fantastic.
And like measure the accuracy yourself, but like 99.71, it's like that's the level of standard that I really want to maintain in the information that I'm bringing out. And I really wish that the whole disclosure movement would also put that level of standard, because that would eliminate all of the deep state infiltration and manipulation of information out of it. Then they wouldn't be able to control the narrative if we would validate all the information in that way.
Yeah, fantastic.
They're gonna
Wow.
hate the deep state is gonna hate me for that. Well, no, they hate me anyway, but what are they gonna do?
So, any other words before we close up?
Well, we wanted to give a blessings to your viewers.
Yes, that's right. Just give blessings to the viewers, and that would be very fantastic and grateful. Carry on, Etienne.
Well, there's a lot of light workers from different planets that are around the planet helping us right now, and lately we asked for more. We called for help from other universes, and there's about 65 billion very powerful guardians from universes way up. Also came here to help with it because like what's happening is like a very critical moment, not just for us on Earth, but for the entire universe and also for the multiverse. It's something very. So there's a tremendous amount of support that is available all around us. So can just open our heart, open our third eye, open our crown, and just open ourselves to receive support from all of those light beings and guardians and the angels and archangels and all the light federations in the universe, to open ourselves to receive guidance, truth, and light from them, to guide us in our steps, to harmonize our collective efforts and intents so that we can move forward in a more cohesive direction that honors who we are, what we're here for, and doesn't let all of the noise distract us. So if the light becomes stronger than the noise, that's where we really can move in the right direction. So just open your heart and your third eye and your crown to receive that support and guidance. And in this interview, we've planted the seed for a growth of a whole new disclosure narrative. And just like plant some small seeds. You can see those seeds. It's like just like seeds of a plant. And shine a light on those seeds. You can see the seeds grow in your mind into beautiful plants. To beautiful orchids. What's beautiful? What's beautiful in particular about orchids? They don't even need earth to grow. Like they just can feed from the light and shine very beautifully. Then they'll find like even as the ground's not ready for them, like they'll just shine and glow anyway, and then feed from that light, and then they'll just like find roots wherever they want to. So just keep shining the light on those seeds growing like plants and see the beautiful orchids coming out. And while you're here, you can also ask the guides and the guides and light beings. Ask them what do they need from you. What you can do. Ask them what can you do to move one step forward in your path. Like every small step counts, and it's cumulative. Like if every person watching this does one small step forward, it's going to make a really big difference overall, because all those small steps are cumulative and build up like the footstep of a giant. And then when you look at that orchid that is growing up, it's going just send some light, do some small steps, and like the orchid's gonna, it's just gonna grow on its own. It just needs nurturing and support. And we'll just keep that healing space open as we wrap up with this interview.
So, ladies and gentlemen, it was a fantastic conversation with Etienne Charland, and we look forward to your participation in our future episodes. Bye.
All right.
Bye. Oh, fantastic.
Good.
Good. Ha 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 ha.
Got some really good stuff in there.
I feel it, and I'm so excited. I'm going to post it tonight.
Awesome.
All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna post that to my list, and really hope that it's going to gain traction. People are gonna share it and getting engaged.
Yeah, fantastic, fantastic. So let me go and do my work.
Yeah, I really feel like I've accomplished the goal of like really initiating the shift by planting the seeds and letting those seeds grow. So let's see where that goes.
Yeah, definitely. I'm so happy. I'm absolutely happy. Good night, Etienne.
Okay, all right, good night.
Yeah, bye-bye.